Welcome back, everybody, to Just the News, No Noise. Earlier this week, Israel carried out an attack against Hamas leadership inside the nation of Qatar in the capital of Doha, and President Trump was not very happy about it, saying that attacking a sovereign nation and an ally of the United States does not advance Israel or the United States' goals. So joining us now to break it all down, all the way from Doha, the capital, of course, of Qatar, the advisor to the Qatari Prime Minister and the spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Majid Al-Ansari. Sir, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Amanda, John, thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. It's our honor, and as we speak right now, our nation's leaders are having a discussion. Tell us what you think is transpiring from that.
Well, John and Amanda, I can tell you very clearly, we are overwhelmed by the solidarity, the support, and the generosity of the United States in standing with Qatar in this difficult time. The Prime Minister has met with the Vice President and Secretary of State, and he is set to meet with President Trump very shortly to explain to him exactly how this transpired in Doha. And if you allow me, John, in the beginning, let me say that it's very important to paint a very clear picture. I'm a father of 5 beautiful girls. My eldest, if you believe it, just started university this year.
Wow!
And I was
Congrats!
Thank you. I was coming home exactly at 3:46. When the bomb started, and you could have heard the bombing throughout Doha. And I just remember that my daughter was in university, so I immediately called her, and she was told to take shelter at the university. And the neighborhood where the bombing took place is called Al-Qtaifiyya. That neighborhood is a diplomatic neighborhood with 13 embassies, 7 international schools, including, by the way, an American school where American kids were studying at the time. And obviously they all had to take shelter at that time. And as a father, you can imagine my feelings at that moment. I didn't know what was happening. I was getting reports from everywhere. And the people in Doha are not used to being bombed in the afternoon. It's not something that happens in this part of the world. And therefore, it's very important for those who are talking about this to understand that this was a residential area with countless schools, nurseries, embassies, and I had to call upon the next day, the ambassadors who were living next to it to make sure all of them were okay. And at the end of the day, what we realized is one brave member of our internal security force, who, by the way, in the past guarded in another detail the U.S. embassy, and the U.S. Charge here told me that they knew him personally at the embassy, was killed in the attack, sadly. He was 22 years old. And you can see the pictures, of course, of the burial that took place yesterday with His Highness hugging the brother, the very young brother of the Badr al-Dosari, who was killed in that attack. So it's a traumatic time for us here in Qatar. It's not a simple thing. It didn't, my children, I still have, I was just, with my children trying to explain to them what was happening, to try to make them feel safe again.
Yeah, no, that is. Qatar didn't attack Israel. Was there any warning from the Israeli or U.S. government that this would be coming, or was it a complete surprise?
The complete surprise here is that a great ally of the West, sometimes called the greatest ally of the United States, would attack another ally of the United States, a state that was designated by the U.S. as a major non-NATO ally, a state that is a NATO partner under the ICI format since 2004, a state that hosts more than 10,000 servicemen and women proudly here, servicing proudly here in Qatar, a state that has helped in the past bring about peace with the United States in Afghanistan. We worked very closely with the Trump administration in the last administration to make sure that President Trump achieves peace in Afghanistan. And he was able, through the Qatari mediation and through the presence of the Taliban political office here in Doha, to end the longest war in U.S. history in Afghanistan and to bring peace to a region that didn't see it for decades. And we were hopeful that through President Trump's proposal, which was on the table, that was bombed in that attack, that President Trump would be able also to bring peace again to this part of the world through Gaza. And we were completely surprised by this attack. We had absolutely no warning. President Trump told His Highness very clearly that he was not consulted nor informed and nor coordinated with regarding this attack. And immediately as the U.S. got wind of the attack, Qatar was informed, but that was sadly 10 minutes after the attacks took place.
Wow.
Sir, Qatar has been an integral mediator when it comes to the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Does this strike does it at all affect your incentive to want to help out in that effort and to be that key mediator?
Amanda, let me tell you one thing. It will take more than the bullying tactics of Prime Minister Netanyahu to change the DNA of the Qatari people. We have always believed in peace. We have always been a peaceful nation, and we have always been a force for peace. You can find it in our constitution, the talk about mediation being a way of doing foreign policy for us. You can find it in our history, in our national identity. That will always be there. It will be very difficult for thuggish behavior to steer us away from that cause. But obviously, now we know very clearly that Prime Minister Netanyahu was not negotiating in good faith. Now we know very clearly that he was leading us on, that he was wasting not only the time of the people who were working on this, the efforts, the tireless 24/7 work of everybody who was working in this in Qatar and Egypt and the United States, but he was also wasting lives as we go along. And now that these lives that he has wasted include, sadly, a Qatari life and another member of the ISF, the Internal Security Forces, now in critical conditions. And we are praying for his health. And other three were also wounded, and we are still tallying the human cost of this attack on this residential neighborhood.
So I want to ask a little bit, after October 7th, the Qatari government rolled up the Hamas leadership's offices, shut them down, and then at some point they reopened. I want to ask tonight two things. Did the Biden administration ever ask you to turn any of the Hamas leadership over to the United States for prosecution for October 7th? And did they ask you at some point to allow the Hamas leadership to reopen their offices on the ground after the October 7th massacre?
Let me tell you one thing. We've been mediating at the request of the United States at the time, the George Bush administration, 2006.
That's right.
We've been mediating between Hamas and Israel since 2006. We have been able to bring back so many hostages. We have been able to bring the region back from war so many times. You know, we have seen so many difficulties in these mediations, but we continued. We soldiered on, and we knew all of it had a political cost. Right. Since October 7th, we were never asked to expel Hamas officially. We were never told to stop mediating. At the complete opposite, when we decided to suspend our mediation and we asked the Hamas leadership to leave Qatar because there was no purpose for them being there, we were asked by the Biden administration at the time to bring back Hamas to continue the mediation. And the Trump administration, even before coming to the White House, was heavily engaged in the mediation process. Actually, the last ceasefire was accomplished because of President Trump's resolution, because President Trump decided that there would be a ceasefire. Right. And the proposal that was on the table now was the proposal of President Trump to end this war once and for all. So we heavily work with the United States and with the Trump administration over this. And we will continue doing these roles on different issues like the DRC and Rwanda, like working over Venezuela, like working over Iran, and all of these issues. You can only have peace between adversaries. You don't make peace between friends. And therefore, we're always ready to help the United States in talking to their adversaries and accomplishing peace wherever it can be.
Yeah, Ukraine and Russia, too. I know you worked very hard there as well.
Yeah, advisor to the Qatari Prime Minister, Dr. Majid Al-Ansari. Sir, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for what your country is doing in the efforts of peace.
Thank you for having me, John and Amanda.
Yeah, great honor. Thank you, sir.
All right, everybody. Next, is YouTube TV punishing Univision over platforming President Trump? Yeah, well, we're going to talk to the CEO of Univision about that, possibly next.
Hey, folks, if you're a homeowner like me, you need to listen to this. In today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles, and your equity is their target. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee with your county, and boom, just like that, your home title has been transferred out of your name. And that's when the problems begin, because they start taking out loans using your equity and even sell your property. And you're not even going to find out it's happened until you get a collection or foreclosure notice months later. That's a nightmare, right? So when's the last time you checked on your home title? Well, if you're like me, the answer is never, right? You need to do something about that right now. That's why I've partnered with Home Title Lock, so you can find out today if you're already a victim. Use my promo code JTN at HometitleLock.com, and you'll get a free title history report and a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes that might happen, and if fraud does happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. That's a good deal. Find out why I trust Home Title Lock. Go to HometitleLock.com and use the promo code JTN. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code JTN.